Well, ours is a very complex question.
They were riding horses. They had stirrups that allowed them to have their hands free for firing from arrows from the bow.
Christ Lord, please stop the hours, protect the city, the Romans, and the one who wrote this. Amen.
They were very new and strange to the people that lived here. We removed the ceiling of the tomb, came to the skeleton. It was quite surprising and shocking.
Avars are the first one here in the Pannonia who put the whole horse to the grave.
For me specifically, most interesting part of the analysis, their custom of artificial cranial modification.
Yes, we can say that Turks were here.
Milattan sonra 4. yüzyılda kuraklık, iç karışıklık gibi nedenlerle başlayan Orta Asya Türk kavimlerinin Doğu Avrupa'ya göçü asırlarca devam etti.
İskitler ve Kimmerleri bir kenara bırakırsak 374 yılında Hunlardan başlarız. 1000'li yıllarda Kuvan Kıpçaklarla noktalarız.
Kavimler göçü olarak da adlandırılan Türk göçü iki yoldan gerçekleşti.
Balkanlara Türk göçlerini başlatan ilk topluluk Hunlar oluyor. Hunların hemen ardından Bulgarlar tarih sahnesine çıkacaklar. Bulgarların ardından Avarları görüyoruz. Avarlardan sonra Peçenekler, Oğuzlar ve Kumanlar gelecektir.
Yüzlerce yıl devam eden göçler sonucunda Türk kavimleri Balkanları yurt edinip devletler kurdular.
Milattan sonra 374 yılından itibaren her 100 yılda bir Türk kökenli toplulukların Orta Asya'dan gelerek Orta Avrupa'yı yurt tuttuğunu görüyoruz.
Türkler bugünkü Hırvatistan coğrafyasını da yurt edinmişlerdi. Özellikle Avarlar 6. yüzyıl ortalarından itibaren bu coğrafyada yaklaşık 250 yıl hüküm sürdüler.
Life of 2.5 century here in, especially in Croatia, there is definitely some traces that were left. Croatian history, ours have very big importance. They are at the beginning of the making Croatian principality. They have a big role here. I know from the everyday living that the name Avar used for a long time in Croatian literature, like in poems or some stories or something like that.
Yazılı kaynaklarda görülmeye başladıkları tarih 558 ama kimi kaynaklara göre 805, kimi kaynaklara göre de 822 yılına kadar burada hakimiyet devam ettirdiler. 582 yılında İmparator Tiberios zamanında Sirmium'a, yani bugünkü Hırvatistan, Sırbistan ve Bosna Hersek topraklarını içine alan Roma bölgesine bir akın düzenliyorlar ve Sava Nehri üzerine bir köprü inşa ettirmeye başlıyorlar. İmparator tabii bu köprü inşa ettirmenin kendisine karşı bir hareket olduğunu anlıyor ama Avarları çok fazla karşısına almak istemediği için İmparator Avarlara bu bölgedeki kuşatmayı kaldırmalarını söylemek için gittiğinde, bir elçi gönderdiğinde, Targit adlı bir elçi gönderdiğinde, Avar Kağan'ını bu köprü üzerinde altın bir taht üzerinde kalkanlarla korunur şeklinde buluyor.
Avarlar diğer Orta Asya kavimleri gibi göçebe olarak hayatlarını devam ettirmek yerine yerleşik düzene geçerek büyük bir devlet inşa ettiler.
Avar siyasi hakimiyeti çok kısa bir sürede oldukça geniş sınırlara ulaştı. Bugünkü anlamda Hırvatistan toprakları Avarların hüküm sürdüğü, hakimiyet tesis ettiği bölgelerden birisi oldu. Avar askeri harekat sahasını göz önünde bulundurduğumuzda Oldukça geniş bir mıntıkayı, bugünkü Yunanistan arazisine kadar uzanan toprakları ve günümüz Bulgaristan topraklarını da Avarların egemenlik tesis ettiği, hakimiyetlerini ulaştırdıkları bölgeler olarak zikredebiliriz.
Avarlar buraya hakim olurken buraya çeşitli Slav boylarını yerleştirmeye başlıyorlar tarım yapmak üzere. Hatta Suriyeli bir Yohannes var, şöyle ifade ediyor: bugüne kadar Slavlar hiç ormanlardan çıkmamışlardı. Ve hiç ormanlardan çıkmamış Slav kavimlerini düzenli savaş teknikleriyle tanıştıran Avarlardı, atla tanıştıran Avarlardı ve onları ticaretle ve tarımla tanıştıran Avarlardı şeklinde ifadeleri var.
I'm the head of the medieval collections of the archaeological department in Vinkovci Municipal Museum. My special interest is in our period, and I also made a PhD in that field. Most important thing that came with ours are the Slavic tribes. Eventually formed the states that are present even today. We know that they brought also some new innovations, especially in the area of war. They were riding horses and they had stirrups. That allowed them to have their hands free for firing from arrows from the bow. And the bow was also made of a different kind, and it had a longer distance. New and strange to the people that lived here. We have interesting linguistic traces in Croatia and the surrounding countries. One of the old Croatian words for Avars is obar, and a lot of toponyms bear that name even today. That was one of the interesting facts about their legacy here.
Bu tesir bölgede yaşayan halklar üzerinde o kadar güçlüydü ki, Avar Türklerinin korkusunu bugün Zagreb Arkeoloji Müzesi'nde korunan Sirmium yazıtının üzerinde okumak mümkün.
I think that the most popular item that we keep here in the Archaeological Museum Zagreb is definitely the brick with an inscription from Sirmium, that is Sremska Mitrovica today in Serbia. It tells about one time period that was very important, and it tells us about a siege that was going on in Sirmium in the year of 580 until 582. And it is believed that in that period, somebody wrote with the Greek alphabet the words on that brick, and it goes, "Christ Lord, please stop the Avars, protect the city, the Romans, and the one who wrote this. Amen."
Vita Demetrios diye bir Selanik psikoposunun yazdığı bir hayat hikayesi var. Diyor ki özellikle 6. ve 7. yüzyıllar Balkanlarda Türk sesinin yankılandığı yıllardı. Yani bu o kadar önemli ki aslında Bizans kaynaklarının verdiği bu bilgi bize. Bu dönemde Avar etkisinden bahsetmemiz gerekir diye eserinde anlatıyor.
Avar Türkleri bu yüzyıllarda sadece askeri ve siyasi olarak değil, kültürel ve ekonomik olarak da Balkan halkları üzerinde etki bıraktı.
Toprağı işlemede ağaç üzerine monte ettikleri demir sabanlarla tarım yaparak, onları kullanmayı öğreterek o demir sabanların tarımsal verimi arttırması. Onun dışında üzengiyi Avrupa'ya ilk defa getirmeleri ve at üzerinde durmayı kolaylaştırmaları. Atın evcilleştirilmesi noktasında yine çok önemliler.
Fortunately, everything we know about Avars wrote their enemies. Byzantine sources and Byzantine Empire weren't their friends. They were actually enemies. So, unfortunately, there was not one historian in our state that could tell us something more about their way of life, their genesis, and how they came here, what did they wanted, what did they do. So we have to pull all this information from the finds that we excavated. What we can tell about them is we're quite a uniform state. They have a uniform culture. They believed in the afterlife. They were tradition of putting food and drinks in the graves are from day one till they stopped to exist. They had their own beliefs. They were living in the Christian area, and still they didn't turn to Christianity. They were trying to keep their own beliefs, shamanism or something like that. There was one find in the grave where we find a pipe made from a crane bone, and that proves that they used music in everyday life. We also found small bell pendants that make music also. So we know that music was definitely an important part of their life.
Hırvatistan'da Avarlara ait ilk kazılar 20. yüzyılın ortalarında yapıldı. 2000'li yılların başındaysa Panonya bölgesinde ve ülkenin en doğusundaki Sirmia'da otoyol inşaatı sırasında avar buluntuları keşfedildi. Sirmia, klasik geç avar tiplerinin bulunduğu bir mikro bölge olarak öne çıktı. Sirmia'da birbirine yakın 3 mezarlık kazıldı. Bu mezarlıklarda avar eserleri bulundu. 2020 yılında Doğu Hırvatistan'ın Vinkovci kasabasındaki şehir müzesi arkeologlarının Vinkovci mezarlığında bir avar savaşçısının kalıntılarını bulmasıyla ise çalışmalar hızlandı.
In March 2020, Town Cemetery decided to make new graves for the present people living in or dying in Vinkovci. As they were excavating the hole just like the one behind me, they stumbled upon a tomb made of Roman bricks. Since man excavating was already working with archaeologists before, he immediately knew that also according to Croatian law, he had to contact the museum. And we came here to the site. He was right that we actually have grave made of Roman bricks. That is not unusual in Vinkovci because in Roman times there was also a Roman town here. And we have a lot of Roman necropolis surrounding that town. We started to excavate and to document the site. When we removed the ceiling of the tomb and came to the skeleton, we actually saw that the finds that were next to him do not belong to Roman period. So it was the first clue that something odd was happening here. We were expecting a Roman grave. Finds that he had belonged to our period belt set. It was quite surprising and shocking. The tomb that was like an imitation of a Roman brick tomb was not preserved at the site. We have made analysis of that marble, and it comes from imperial place where they took marble from Turkey. Yes, we can say that Turks were here.
We can state that most of the finds are probably belt sets and parts of the belt sets. Belt in Avarian society was a very important part of attire. Belt showed somebody else how high are you in the society of our state. So I think that the belt sets, fittings, belt strap ends, and so on, they are the most numerous finds that we can find here in the Archaeological Museum, but also in other collections also.
At the site we have excavated 11 graves in total. Only one of them was in that imitation of a Roman brick tomb. All the others were in simple earthen pits. And some of them have traces of wooden structures. We don't find the wood because it perished through the centuries. The graves that we have found in the cemetery, beginning of the 8th up to the end of the 8th century, all the graves were skeletal and the skeletons were laid in supine position on their backs. some of the graves belong to someone who was really high in their social life. You can see a lot of similarities in burial customs between the Avars buried here and the Avars from Central Asia. The same way of burying and equipping the dead can be followed from the Central Asia through Hungary up to here to Croatia.
Hırvatistan'da Avar Türklerine ait en çok eser mezarlık kazılarında bulundu. Bu kazılardan ele geçen arkeolojik veriler bize Avar tarihi ile ilgili derin bilgiler sundu.
Thanks to different multi-excavations and multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary sciences, we have a lot of knowledge about their way of lives. We have made like samples that were archaeobotanically excavated, and we know that they grew a lot of broom. That was also confirmed with stable isotopes analysis, which showed that they didn't eat much meat, but a lot of vegetables.
But the Avar culture was very, very typical. Of course, they were nomads, so their way of life was quite different from the people that they encountered when they came in Pannonia or in Byzantine Empire. Their way of living included lots of movements. They were not only located in one territory. Settlements are a rare thing. In the beginning of their Avar state, there are not such a big number of settlements, and that can be explained because there are nomads, and in the nomadic life there is no typical buildings, typical settlements. You have a tent that you can dismantle whenever you want to live. They took a special care about that deceased. The deceased always had the things that he wore from the life taken with him or her in the afterlife. So we talk about woman attire, men attire, children attire. They were all very well dressed and put in the ground.
When we excavate our period cemeteries, we have different types of finds. So if we have like a warrior graves, then there will be a belt set, sometimes even weapon. And in female graves, there will be jewelry, earrings, bracelets, necklaces, so different kind.
Bir Orta Asya Türk geleneği olan savaşçının atıyla gömülme geleneği, Hırvatistan'daki mezar kazılarında sıkça rastlanan bir durum. Avarlar bu geleneklerini göç ettikleri Balkan coğrafyasında da sürdürmüşler.
Usually, if he was a horseman, the horse would always go with him. So we have a horse and horseman graves in the territory where our state was well known, and with that we know that it was very important, that connection with horseman and his horse. Not only through archaeological excavation we know that, because there are not a lot of horsemen or horse burials in the Carpathian Basin, but they are very often. And we know that because even in the Byzantine sources, in the source that is called Strategikon, they wrote about the connection that our horse rider had with his horse. And when we find that such a grave, such a big grave, we see that they have a special connection, but because that horse was also deposited with his whole harness. So we have stirrups, bits, and every part of the harness that horse had on it during the life. So that is one part of the graveyards that they can reconstruct the way of life. We see the same the connection also in the Han population. So Huns before ours, who were there also in the Carpathian Basin, they also they put with the deceased they put a horse, but usually we didn't find the whole horse, only a part of it. Ours are the first one here in the Pannonia who put the whole horse in the grave.
Usually, typical Avar burial style is a horse burial. Warriors buried with their horses, with weapons, with swords, with battle axes, with bows and arrows. So in Croatia, as I mentioned, we do have mostly late Avar period burials, and these are quite without many artifacts. However, at one site we do have 9 or 10 horse burials. We think that around these horse burials, these are mostly young or middle-aged men. We presume these people are chieftains or heads of their families, and around them usually there are buried women, small children, and so on. So these are typical Avar period burials that we still, see them as horse riders.
Avar mezarlarından çıkan insan iskeletleri üzerinde de antropologlar analizler yaptı. Bilim insanları iskeletlerin genetik kodlarını ve DNA kalıntılarını inceledi.
Our analysis can be divided into several different types. The first, most basic type is basically macroscopic analysis, basically the analysis of sexing and aging of these individuals, basically telling what was their biological sex, males or females, what was their age at the time of death, how old they were when they died, up to reconstruction of the certain pathological changes such as different diseases. Then again, we can also reconstruct their habitual activities, their professions, what were they doing for their basically jobs during their lifetime. Also, we can tell what type of diet they ate during their lifetime, based on their state of teeth, how the health of their teeth, basically, how many caries lesions they had, if they had any calculus, basically dental plaque. And that's the first type of analysis that we are doing here at the Institute for Anthropological Research. The second type, these are more advanced studies. We are doing nitrogen and carbon stabilized isotopes analysis to reconstruct diet of these people. Basically, this is a biochemical analysis. So basically, we can tell what type of animal protein they ate, if they consumed milk or dairy products, if they consumed fish or sweetwater fish, sea or sweetwater fish. Or we can tell based on carbon stable isotope analysis. And the third type of, or third kind of analysis that we are doing here, and with the collaboration with University of Harvard and University of Vienna, basically we are doing ancient DNA analysis of these people. So we can tell molecular sex of these individuals, we can tell whether they're coming from their genetic ancestry, we can tell if they were related to each other, we can reconstruct the families, and finally we can also do some kind of facial reconstructions.
İnsan iskeletleri üzerinde sürdürülen bilimsel incelemeler neticesinde Avar Türkleri ile ilgili ilginç sonuçlar elde edildi.
Analysis conducted here and in collaboration with other partners, basically there is a certain distinction between the Avars, early Avars from the first Khaganate. They were marrying local women here, and they are losing this type of nomadic conquering way of life. So basically what we can tell from the beginnings, from the late 6th century, they lose this certain Asiatic traits. When they settle in this area, doing agriculture mostly, they adopt sedentary way of life. They marry local women, and they don't resemble those mighty Asian warriors anymore. So after a certain generation, basically they adapted to the local environment. As you know, Danube is a large river full of fish. So one of the major surprises for us is that we found they didn't eat fish at all. So whether was it because of some religious purposes or just they didn't like the taste of fish, we don't know the reason behind it why. But today, even along the Danube River, fish is one of the main staples. It's staple food. Most people eat fish along the Danube River. So also, as they didn't eat fish, they subsided on one type, especially one type of cereal, which is millet. Millet is basically very important cereal for them, because millet resilient, and it grows in every type of climate. You can have 2 or 3 harvests per year, and we also know from archaeological contexts that millet derives from Central Asia as well. So probably they also brought millet when they were coming from Central Asia with them, and they kept it as one of their main staples. What was the average age and sex during the Avar period? That's an excellent question. You have to remember that today in modern societies, especially in Europe, Western world, the average age of death is about 80 or 85 years. Women tend to live a bit longer than men today, but in the archaeological context, in archaeological period, even during the Avar period, adults used to live between 35 to 40, tend to live about 35 to 45 years of age. As I mentioned, their main staple was carbohydrates, cereals, so they didn't have enough protein, and obviously that all affected subadult health. Children were the most endangered part of the society, and that's why we also have such a high subadult mortality.
Mezarlardan çıkan ilginç tespitlerden biri de yeni doğan bebeklerin kafalarını bağlıyor olmaları. Bilim insanları, Avarların bunu neden yaptıklarını hala tespit edebilmiş değil.
For me specifically, most interesting or most obvious part of the analysis was the analysis of their custom of artificial cranial modification. So basically, what they did as a society or individuals, basically mothers tend to bind children's heads as babies, as infants. So when they reached adulthood, their heads got different elongated shapes, or so their heads basically were, somebody would call them aliens. Today somebody would call them aliens, but basically their heads were of different shapes, and they achieved it by binding with certain like kind of planks or by cloth, because subadult heads are children's heads, young children's heads are quite malleable, and their bones are quite soft. So basically you can achieve certain shapes of a head by binding them. Honestly, still the scientists today don't know why they did that. There was a theory that certain individuals bind their heads, or their parents bind their heads, hoping that they will manage to communicate with gods, because to induce epileptic seizures, and such individuals were considered to have communication with the other world.
Avarlar her ne kadar Asya kökenli olsalar da yıllar içinde yerli kadınlarla evlendiklerinden DNA sonuçları bir süre sonra Avrupalılaştıklarını gösteriyor.
Ancient DNA analysis show certain similarities with populations from Central Asia. But then again, you have to remember these ancient DNA analysis show similarities with Central Asia only for this early Avar period. Up until the mid-7th century AD. Later, ancient DNA analysis shows typical European genetic ancestry, as I've said, because these Avar warriors, Avar horse riders, local women, they had offsprings, and basically they didn't marry proper Avar Asian featured women. So ancient DNA analysis showed exactly that, basically. When they do come from Central Asia, that's a certified fact, proved by ancient DNA, but after 2 or 3 generations after they settled here, they become basically locals.
Bugün Hırvatistan'ın pek çok yerinde Orta Asya Türklerinin izlerini görmek mümkün. Bu izler onların genlerine kadar işlemiş. Tipleri, davranışları, dinleri farklı da olsa Orta Asya kökleri DNA'larında var.